everyone. Welcome to the
Hi.
Rockland Arts Festival. If everyone could please select speaker view in the upper right corner, that would be great. My name is Lisa D'Amico. I'm one of the festival coordinators. The other two coordinators are here as well, Michael Kraft and Aviva Sokolsky. And our wonderful host for tonight is artist Debbie Silverberg. And Debbie is an assemblage artist. And she also serves on the board of the Nyack Art Collective, and she serves on the board of the Rockland County Art and Public Places. And she works with found objects from her backyard. And her website is mybackyardartifacts.com. And I highly recommend you checking it out. And I'm going to show everyone a piece of her work just so you can get an idea of what Debbie does and how she does it. And all of the artists from the Artist Festival, if you could please type in your website in the chat so people can follow you and see more about you and your work, that would be wonderful.
I don't know how to do that.
Go to the bottom and click on chat.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay. And
oh, okay. This is not Debbie's. This is Angelica's. Let me find Debbie's. Okay. It keeps showing me Angelica's. I'm not sure why. Debbie?
Yeah.
I'm not sure why it keeps showing Angelica's. Let me go to my desktop instead, and maybe we can do it that way. Yeah, there we go.
Okay. So this is my piece. It's called Breaking Dinner Plans. I found all of the pottery in my backyard, including the silverware, and I combine it with needlework that my grandmother taught me. So the crocheted background is from the skills I learned from my grandmother. So that is my piece. And I'm excited to be hosting tonight. So I have some clerical things before we get started.
Debbie, just 1 second. While you're speaking, I'm going to live stream us to Facebook.
Okay.
Okay, so take your time.
No problem. I'm gonna ask everybody to put themselves on mute so that you can hear the speakers. I'm gonna remind you that it'll be easier to see what's going on if you put yourself on speaker view, which is on the top right. I'm gonna tell you that at the end of this artist's Q&A, we're gonna hear a wonderful performance on piano by Carolyn Enger. I also need to tell you that you should visit the festival website, which is www.rocklandartsfestival.org, and see 190 different visual artists and vote for your favorite. During this reception, I will be giving you our month-long virtual arts events. You can also go to our calendar and get it in one easy step. I also need to tell you that this festival is made possible with funds from the Decentralization Program, a re-grant program of the New York State Council on the Arts, with the support of Governor Cuomo, the New York State Legislation, Arts Westchester, and PFLAG Rockland. So I personally want to let you know that I'm honored to do this, that I went to our YouTube channel, and I know that we have rock cutters, and we have lace makers, and we have photographers and painters and all kinds of artists. And if I asked everybody a question, we would be here the entire month. So we decided to choose 16 different artists who represent us in their different choices for how they create their art. And I'm excited to be doing this. So also, I'm going to ask that if you have any questions, you put them in the chat, and we will get to them either while the speaker is speaking or at the end. If you guys don't have any questions, I'm going to ask to speak to Joel Benjamin.
Hey, how you doing? You can hear me?
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay.
And
All right.
now we're going
You
to
can see.
put up your amazing tiger picture.
Oh, thank you.
You're right. All right. I can see from your website that you also draw portraits of famous American men. What influences your choices when you create a drawing?
Okay, before I start, what's my time limit? So I know not to be, I can be long-winded.
We're aiming for 2 minutes a person.
All right. So okay, cool. Good. All right. So what has influenced the pictures, like, period, is I have been a very poor steward of this gift over the years. I will only use it, I will only draw and stuff like that when I'm in a time of crisis. And during the pandemic, was an opportunity to really kind of revisit this again and, you know, start drawing just to kind of get my mind off the stuff. I was working like 3 jobs, and I'm like, yo, I need to get my mind off of these things. So I started to draw, and then when I started to draw, I couldn't do it. And because I was a poor steward, I'm like, wow, I believe that God took it away from me, you know? And it was maybe about 24 hours, and I couldn't draw. I couldn't draw anything. And I sat down and I prayed to God, and I said, listen, I know I've been a poor steward of what you've given me to do. And if you give me another chance, I will draw whatever you want, whenever. I'll fill up all these pads around here. I'll do whatever it takes. And the next day I was able to restart. So since then, every picture that I've drawn, it's definitely a testament as to, you know, God guiding my hands. Because I asked him, like, listen, if you want me to do these things, guide my hands. And I'm scared, I'm terrified, and I'm a poor steward, you know? And what's been happening is, you know, that's been happening. So with every picture, I try my best to capture the intensity or the majesty of the picture. And that's basically how I see God, as majestic. He could be intense, you know what I mean? And I love it all. I'm very grateful. I'm humbled also. So any opportunity I get to do anything, paint, draw, mural, anything, I do it. So that's basically my influence, is that I've been given another shot. So I definitely want to make better use of what's been given to me.
I think your piece is spectacular. I love the expression, and the detail is just amazing. And I'm glad God gave you another chance so that we could all benefit from what you've been given.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're very welcome. If you want to put your website on the chat, that would be wonderful.
Okay. Yeah, I did already. Yeah.
Oh, good. Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Can I speak to Kimberly Camp?
Hello there, Debbie. How are you?
I'm good. Your piece is incredibly powerful. And I was wondering whether or not you knew this woman.
Actually, everyone should. She's a part of American history. Her name is Mary Fields, and her nickname was Stagecoach Mary. She was the first African-American woman to be a mail carrier via stagecoach in the far West. She was raised in slavery. She was able to travel to Montana after she joined a convent. Supposedly, she was kicked out of the convent because she drew a gun on the maintenance man. And I just thought she was amazingly courageous for someone to have been born in enslavement and then later in life to ride through the Wild West. I moved to New Jersey from Eastern Washington State about 8 years ago, and there's still areas there where you could ride for hours and not pass anything that is man-made. And so I just really admired her courage. There's several books that are written about her, and I encourage people to check them out. She's the first one in a series that I'm doing on African Americans in the Wild West. My next one is Deadwood Dick, otherwise known as Nat Love. And then after that, I'm gonna do Bass Reeves, who was the original Lone Ranger. So they're part of American history.
Well done. And then my second question for you is, how do you decide? I saw the dolls, they're magnificent. And your YouTube describes your dolls. So I was wondering what makes you decide something's going to be a doll versus be a painting?
I started making the dolls in 1982 with soft sculpture called Kimkins. And if someone had told me then I'd still be making them, I probably would have laughed out loud. I started with them, did about 2,000 a year. They're all hand painted, made for kids. But then in '89, I started doing the one-of-a-kind pieces. And for me, they're a form of play. I use all different types of clay bodies, air-dried clays, clays that have to be fired in a kiln, polymer clays, materials from all over the world. I used to run museums for a living, so I had an opportunity to travel extensively. And so I have quite an array of beads and feathers and leathers and all kinds of things. And year before last, gosh, I went to the American Craft Council. It was my inaugural exhibit with them in Baltimore, and I won one of 5 awards of excellence. So I have been sort of ramping up my production, and for me, they're a lot of fun. They range from anthropomorphic things, fish with human faces and creatures that I create, to my immigration series, which is all about learning, knowing that the diversity and power of American culture comes from all the influences from all over the world that influence how we dress, how we talk, how we sing, how we dance.
Well, your pieces are amazing, and I love the expression on her face. It's "Don't mess with me." And you can definitely.
It's an iconic photograph, and it's if you put Stagecoach Mary in Google, this is the photograph that comes up. And photography back then was very expensive, so usually people only had one photograph. But I put her in a red dress because red is that color of power and courage. And women back in the 19th century, only women that wore red were hookers, women of the night. And so I wanted to put her in there because now it's a color that means courage, boldness, all of those positive things that I think she would have had to be.
And I appreciate the fact that you too are wearing that color.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. And I'm going to put my website up. My website is named for my gallery that I have in Collingswood. It's named for my mother. It's spelled the French way. Somebody told me never do that. I did it anyway. But I'm putting it in the chat. It's Gallery Marie. And I am open open 5 days a week, and people are welcome to drive down and check it out.
And I'm sure they will. It looks wonderful. Thank you very much. Can I speak to Jackie Fiore, please?
I don't think Jackie's here.
Huh.
Yeah, so why don't we go to Angelica?
We will. Angelica Garcia, please.
I know Angelica's here.
Oh, hello. Yes, I am.
That's good. I love this charcoal drawing, and I was really curious what the message is that you have with this abundance of jewelry. Besides the fact that I would love to wear any of those pieces, I was wondering what your message was.
First, I want to say thank you for allowing me to participate in this virtual art show. A little bit about me. I am a student graduating this year in Bachelor of Fine Arts in illustration. So this drawing was done in the fall semester in 2019. And this was part of the Drawing and Composition 2 class that I had to take. And for the final project, we had to do a large drawing. So I worked with my professor about the message for this drawing. And it has to deal with wealth, wealth and consumption. Jewelry means wealth. And so I just wanted to have this idea that a lot of people always buy, they consume many materialistic things. And so I decided to do a piece on jewelry. On a personal note, I think, I like this piece because this is actually my own jewelry that I have at home and that I wear. So I have a personal connection with this one. And this was referenced from a photograph I took, and this is my hands and jewelry. So I really like this drawing, and it's right behind me in the background. It's 40 by 60 inches, and it's done in charcoal with white chalk. So thank you.
It is spectacular. I didn't realize it was as big as it is. It's really wonderful. The detail and the detail of your hands and the pearls and the fact that it's yours. It shows that you have many different ways of being. You know, many different parts of yourself that you show in your jewelry. So that's really cool. Very well done. I thank you. If you would put your webpage or your Instagram page in the chat, you're more than welcome to.
Okay.
You're very welcome. Thank you for sharing. I'm going to take a calendar break now, and I'm going to let you guys know what's coming up this coming week for the Rockland Arts Festival. Tomorrow, on the 5th at 7 o'clock, we will be having an independent film conversation with Louis Rudderman. He'll be showing some films, Lucas Rudderman, and he will be showing some films and talking about his inspiration. The following Sunday, a week from today, we're going to have a live concert with Alice Leon and Al Green. And Monday, my mom's birthday, at 7 p.m., we're going to have Ballet Rockland and a performance by Rita Harvey, who will be accompanied by Neil Berg. Again, you can go to our website, www.rocklandsartfestival.org, to get a whole list of what's going on for the month. I'd like to speak to Judith Hugentobler, please.
Hi, thank you very much for this opportunity. I did this work, which is a digital photograph with encaustic and pigment, while I was in a workshop at the International Center for Photography.
I love her. I think that it sort of captures the Victorian age in the dress and in what looks like lace. I think it's really wonderful. And I like the fact that it's called Ghost Floral. That's great. I was wondering how working with seniors, because part of your website said that that's what you do, affects your artwork.
Well, I received CPASA grants to start workshops with senior groups through different senior centers, some in Manhattan. So yes, I have been doing mostly ceramics with seniors through these grants, which are supported by the Department of Aging. And they're only for a period of 4 months, and then you have an exhibition of the senior works after the grant is complete. So I would say that working with seniors is a very special opportunity because of how they bring so much to each project that they create and really flourish with the engagement, I think, of accomplishing something that is very unique. And I found that quite a few had incredible talents in drawing. So we would concentrate on creating tiles, and they would draw narratives into their tiles. And there were many beautiful examples. So especially the site I worked in Brooklyn, it was Marine Park Adult Center. The results were just beautiful. And I brought them to a kiln and fired them so that they could have it finished.
That's wonderful. It sounds like it was a great experience for them and for you.
Yeah, I think the idea of narrative is what comes from it, having a story as the basis of what you bring to a piece of work. So a lot of times I use photographs from my family's photo albums, and a lot of the images, I don't know who is in the photograph because they go back to the early 1900s. And for instance, my grandfather came from Gotland, so some of the imagery is of villages where they grew up in Gotland. So yeah, that does make an impact on what I put into the work, and the floral aspects of it are there because they loved gardens, and a lot of the photographs were shot in a garden, which was just filled with flowers. So I think when I put them together, it just made complete sense of what the type of composition could be.
Oh, it's spectacular. If you want to put your website in the chat, that would be great. And
Yes.
thank you. I appreciate it. Elizabeth, Laurie, if you're here.
Yes, I'm here. Okay, first I want to thank everyone by participating. Everybody has lovely work. The question that you asked was 2 questions, right? You wanted to know about the...
You called it ruffles.
Yes.
I wanted to know what was ruffling around that when you created this.
Well, okay, I'm originally from Honduras, and I studied flamenco dancing for many years. Mm. And then I took a trip with my sisters and my daughter to Spain, and their dresses, as you know, flamenco dresses, they have a lot of ruffles and they're very colorful. And when they're dancing, I mean, they kind of move around. So I was inspired by that to do a sculpture with like of a dress, of a flamenco dress. And then you asked me about the patina too, right? Mm-hmm. I took a workshop at the Complete Sculptor with Ron Young, and these are patinas that he invented, and you can use it basically on anything, on clay, fiberglass, on a canvas. So that's how I was able to get that metallic look. It's a certain process that he invented to work on artwork.
That's spectacular. I like the different shades of metallic. And I can definitely see the flamingo dress. It's really wonderful. I could see her dancing too. It's very cool.
Yeah, she's very fluid. Yes. Yeah. I was inspired by that. It's a lot of movement.
Yes.
So that's what inspired me to do this piece.
How big is the piece?
I think it's 12 inches by 18, I think, wow. if I remember correctly.
Okay, that's really nice. I appreciate it. If you want to put your website in or your Instagram account.
Oh yes, I did.
Perfect.
I did.
Okay.
I did. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. It was wonderful to talk to you.
I see a question. Is it made out of clay? Yes, the piece is made out of clay. I saw in the chat. I just so happened to see it.
Good. All right. And now I'd love to speak to Maxine Liu. Maxine, are you here?
Oh, yes, I'm here.
Oh, good. Good. It's good to see you again. So, I want everybody to know that you won an award 2 years in a row for pumpkin carving. I think that is really magnificent. But I was wondering what I also saw on your website that you have a section called communications. So I was wondering what this pumpkin was trying to communicate.
Yes, thank you for this question. So I was actually this question is very, very interesting to me. So so this work is called scrunching sponge. So like I was playing the words like a scrunch, like you were trying to push hard, and the other scrunch is the pumpkin's the other name, and so pretty much a lot of my sculpture, I like use humor to express something. Sometimes a little dark issues, but sometimes it's more like a funny or interesting things. So and behind why I choose these materials, I was study eco arts, and so that time I was wondering what kind of materials that I can choose to not harm hurt the environment. So I walking to the farm and I starting to looking at the materials, and that is very inspired. Like every pumpkin has a different shape. So I got the inspired from the shape, and I start to thinking about, oh, how have everyone thinking about what they are communicate or what they want to try to say. And I pick this pumpkin, they already have the scarf. Maybe you can see on my background, they have already have the scarf. So I was just have the idea that this pumpkin got a punch, and so I carving this concept that his face got scrunched by two way, and later on I really jumped to do the nature materials because I always find they have like something really, really special things when you just look at the material itself. So I think the next step, I am going to try to carve the different food.
That sounds wonderful. You know, his cheek is really scrunched. I can absolutely see where he was punched. It looks spectacular. The details in the teeth and the facial expression are amazing. How long did it take you to carve this?
So depend on the size. This size is about it's about a bag size, and it's I think I took 3 hours for this one.
Wow. He was worth every minute you spent on it. It is absolutely spectacular.
Yeah, I also feel like sometimes if anyone have the experience to work on the like a pumpkin or like a food texture, you would find the texture itself. It's like a little like a human skin, and I feel those kind of materials for the sculpture, they can have like a more things can play with.
And it shows. It's spectacular. Again, I was like very excited to see your piece.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Did you put your Instagram or your Facebook page in the chat?
Oh, let me do that. Thank you.
Absolutely. You're very, very welcome. Thank you. Daniel Lombardo.
Hello.
Hi there. I like your darkness. That's it. That's a great piece. So you called it Three Graces. I think it's fascinating that your work is inspired by indigenous people's totem poles, and I was wondering what the story of this piece is.
Well, yes, you know, I've always enjoyed totem poles, both North American and other cultures around the world, as well as partly just as a compositional construct, the sort of stacking and the towering vertical structure, which I've always felt related also to the human figure, which is really where I started my interest in art, was drawing the human body. And in terms of naming this The Three Graces, it was really more having made it and looking at it and that idea coming to mind, that sort of relationship to it. It's not really specific. There's not a particular story that it represents. My idea of, and my interest in mythologies are not particularly literal. I'm not necessarily trying to tell a story per se. Some of my work has been specifically labeled, like this one, you know, in relationship to mythologies, but others are a bit not so much. You know, my overall desire is to really create these kind of vertical pieces that are sort of stacked forms and open forms and interlocking forms, again, really always relating back to the human body and its components and its interlocking quality and its ability to move and twist in space.
I can see the twists. It's really wonderful. Will you share with people what it's made out of or made from?
This is steel. It originally started out as a round steel pipe. I had up until about 10 years ago, I had only rarely worked in metal. I was mostly working in wood. So that process is really much more reductive. And about 10 years ago, I went to a blacksmithing workshop that was at the Vittlichil Art Students League site in Spark Hill. James Garvey, who's an expert blacksmith artist, had been conducting this ongoing Saturday morning workshop for years. And I was fortunate to be able to work with him for about 7 or 8 years. And it was a very different process. It's a combination of really sort of opening things, making the metal become kind of plastic. And, you know, in the beginning, I was really just saying, I have a shape, what can I do with it? Sort of pre-existing form, how can I somewhat deconstruct it and render it into an image that I find intriguing and beautiful. And that's really where this is coming from. Over time, as I've learned to weld and take disparate pieces and put them together, it's a combination of heating them in a coal fire or a gas fire, shaping them, sometimes cutting them with a torch, putting things back together again. But this one in particular was done on an open coal fire, along with using oxyacetylene to open up, you know, parts of it and then shape it and hammer it and twist it with tools, etc.
Well, it's beautiful. Your work is, yeah, I can see all the twists and turns and what look like faces to me in it, and it's really wonderful. How tall is it?
It's approximately 3 feet tall.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Did you put your contact information in the chat?
I put my Instagram information on there again, yes.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Can I speak to Kendra Martinez?
Hi.
Ah, there you are. Ah, yes. It's good to see you.
Nice seeing you too.
Same here. So it's said on your website, you have a quote by Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and it says, "The world has its limits, but the world of imagination is limitless." What do you imagine for the ballerina in the light bulb?
Well, what I imagine for her is her stepping into herself, like her actual self, not the person that everybody wants her to be. and her taking complete ownership of it and being completely unapologetic about it. And then her stepping into her light and shining brighter than the brightest light bulb in the pack. And that's honestly what I want for all of us.
I like that message. I think that's a great, wonderful message. I like that she's poised but ready to shine. I think that's cool. That's you show it well. That's really wonderful. How big is that piece?
That piece is actually 24 by 36. It's actually right behind me, right up there.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's fine. Do you do this in lots of your pieces? Do you have women shining in other of your pieces? Or
Yes,
people
actually,
shining? I guess that would be more.
Yeah, I actually well, each piece that I do, every piece has a message, and a lot of it is basically taking ownership of your life and of yourself, and being who you want to be and not what everybody else expects you to be.
I love it. That's a very wonderful message for this time in the world. I appreciate it. Did you put your contact information in?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you too. Have a nice day.
All right. I'm going to go and give you another calendar update. Wednesday, the 14th at 7 p.m. There will be a night hosted by PFLAG Rockland. Featured in that, for that night will be Kayla Sharp, Sal Sanchez, and Zoe Berkovic, I'm sorry. The Sunday, 2 weeks from now at 7 o'clock, Clarksville Gallery, Rockland Photography Club, and Andrew Masonette will be talking about the world of photography. And Monday, April 19th, we'll have artist demos. Pottery will be done by Colleen Vanderhoff. Pastels will be done by Joyce Burns, and needlework will be done by Chris Campbell. So I hope you'll be able to attend all of them. It looks like an exciting group of events for that week. All right, next I'd like to talk to Cass McFerdy. All right, Miss Cass.
Unmute. Hi. Thank you so much.
You're very, very welcome.
Yay. You know, this is, I've done a series of bridges in watercolors. Most of them have been the Tappan Zee Bridge. I did pretty well, actually. I sold 3 of them. I thought that the first Tappan Zee was very pretty. I did that in purple watercolor. And then I did another one, a large one in acrylic before the new bridge was built, and that was kind of surrealistic with circles all over the place. And now I have one in orange, the new bridge, a watercolor. This is the Whitestone Bridge. I grew up in Whitestone, so it means a lot. I don't know, it's I like it better than the Thorax neck. It's this piece, I don't know, I think it's like 14 by 16, I don't know. I defined this with some colored pencil. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. But it is the Whitestone. I figured I don't know.
I grew up in Queens. I took that bridge a lot.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that.
Whitestone Bridge.
That's it. Is there something in particular that draws you to drawing bridges in general?
Well, I don't know. Years ago, when I did the first one of the Tappan Zee, you know, I did it in purple. I thought it was a very pretty bridge. And then I just went from there. This is recent. This was what is this? November 2020. That wasn't too long ago. I saw a photograph of it, and I just figured I'd do it.
It came out really wonderful. I love
thanks.
Your use of colors. I think.
I'm self-taught. I survived the corporate world, so I'm trying to hang in there with the art. I also said in the chat, if for all you Rocklanders, I was approved by the town of Clarkstown to paint a mural in town, and would love it if you could support me, not just monetarily, but even on Facebook. I'm Catherine McVetti on Facebook. I did a fundraiser and I'm raising money. It's good. A lot of support out there, but there's also a lot of haters. So I'm trying to not let that get to me. You know, why are you doing it that? Do you have a permit? So you always get those kind of people. But I put that in the chat. It's going to be in Congress on Lake Road and Whitman Street. So yeah, that's it.
I appreciate it. I appreciate all the work you do for the community, and I appreciate your artwork and genuinely appreciate you.
Thanks, Debbie. This is great. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Can I speak to Bevin Morrell, please?
Hi.
Hi, good to see you. We're gonna wait for Lisa to pull up your work, so then I can ask you the question. And there it is, beautiful. Calling it Death Do Us Part is a very powerful title. And as somebody who likes to put items in their own work, I was curious about why you chose a rope and a charm to add to your piece.
So this piece was called Death Do Us Part because it has a lot to do with, I guess, the concept of divorce. Divorce, unfortunately, happens a lot in my family, like my extended family and whatever. And there's this kind of restraining feeling about it, but also kind of this memorable, nostalgic feeling. And charms really have like a sacred, special place in my heart. I think it's so special, like when people gift it to you or it just gets passed down, you know, for tradition or whatever. It's just like, you know, kind of a sad piece, but it's how I feel in general about, you know, like love and marriage and stuff like that.
What is the charm of? I appreciate your sense of tradition and using the charm to show that. That's brilliant. I was wondering what the charm was of.
It's just a regular charm. I didn't want it to be too much of a focus because I wanted the whole piece to be kind of the overall like aura of the piece. So what I do is, so this is a digital collage that I made in Photoshop, and it's a combination of all of the little pieces of the world that reminds me of that concept. It's also based on this blog post that I wrote recently, and it's about like me as a young child witnessing my older sister, you know, go through a divorce through my younger eyes. So.
Okay. Is the rope to keep it together, or does the rope demonstrate it falling apart?
The rope is just meant to be, it's tight, so it's like something is like holding you back a little, but it also serves as like a visual string that has something hanging from it, to kind of be like, you know, like when you hang like photos or, you know, memories and keep them up, try to remember them.
That's great. Like sort of like a clothesline with different pieces. That's very smart. I I can appreciate that. That's very well done. Is it a radiator in the back? Is that what I'm looking at?
Oh, that is actually, it's another photo that I manipulated. I took out certain colors from it and kept like one color to represent kind of, it's like actually, I guess someone like crouching to themselves, overlapped over, you know, like a photo of someone like so holding someone they love. So it's kind of that like contrast between love and
death. Yes, really well done. How many different pieces, how many different photos did you use to get this?
I think 5.
Wow. It's haunting. It's just really well, interestingly designed, for sure. And I like, your message is absolutely strong and it absolutely comes through. So I thank you. Did you put your information in the chat?
Yes, but I will do it again.
Bevin, somebody asked if you could also put your blog address in the chat as well.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Great.
It's also on my website. I'm just gonna put my website, but I'll also put the link to the blog.
Great, thank you.
Perfect, I appreciate that. All right. I think everything is going well. I'm loving the responses to my questions. I think it's really wonderful. And now we have Vincent Mango. I'm looking forward to talking to him and seeing his picture again.
Hello, everybody.
Hi. I sort of want to know why it's Vincent Mango. First off.
I'd love to tell you.
But I also want to know whether or not when you put this together, you were eating sushi and whether or not tuna is your favorite.
Tuna's up there for my favorite. I love salmon and I love eel. I love sushi in general. It's very important to me. My fiance and I went on our first date. We went to get sushi and we had so much fun. We went on the same date 4 weeks in a row after that. And now we're getting married. So it worked. It's very important.
And your invitation should have the sushi on it.
That's not a bad idea. I'm going to run that by her. Yeah, so this piece was actually done in about 45 minutes. She got me, I'm normally a cartoonist. I have a background in making some comic book art, but she was kind enough for my birthday a few years ago to get me a painting class at the Morris County Art Association. And I was so excited when I came home after the first lesson or two, when some things that just seemed so daunting became so clear. I couldn't wait to do it. And I think sushi is not only one of the most delicious foods, but it's one of the most beautiful. So to me, when I eat it, usually I end up taking a few pictures of it. So I had this picture on my phone and I kind of went with it.
I love the detail. I too am a sushi fan. And the detail of the tuna is wonderful, and I can see all the pieces of rice. It's very wonderful. You want to tell where the sushi place is so we can all go?
Sure. Number One Sushi. They have locations in Pearl River and Nanuet.
Okay.
And my name is Vincent Mango because I'm known in the NFT space as Vincent Mango. Originally, I created a character that I called Mango Number One, and it was just a creature. And I can, if you can see me, I can put my video on pause. And this is one of my mangoes. So I'm currently working on a series of 1,000 unique creatures that I'm painting each one. And again, I'm a comic book fan, so I also make a variant artwork version of that I call a collector's edition. And I sell them as NFTs. So that an NFT, just briefly, is a way to, you can think of $1 is exchangeable for another $1, but something that's a non-fungible token is not exchangeable for anything. It's unique. So it's a piece of technology that allows me to tie my artwork to a smart contract that will be on the Ethereum blockchain which gives my piece provenance. And when it's resold on the secondary market, it's written into the smart contract that 20% of that resale automatically goes to my wallet. So it's a fantastic piece of technology. I think everyone should look into it. And I'll put my socials in the chat. Anyone's feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to help.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's now I'm hungry. All right. Can I speak to Ted Papalus, please?
Hello.
Hi there. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me join in.
You're very welcome. I love this picture of Fifth Avenue, especially medallions on taxis. They're it's kind of a dying breed kind of a thing. So I truly,
I was about to say.
Yeah, I truly appreciate that. And it looks like lots of the things that you paint are scenes from the city. And I was wondering what about the city in particular inspires you?
Well, I went to college out in Brooklyn and ended up kind of falling in love with the borough and living there for the next 25 years or so. And just started, painting what was around, and what I saw and what I was attracted to. I loved, old Brooklyn especially, and there are a lot of different people, a lot of different cultures, a lot of different places out there. And so it started just kind of what I was attracted to and what I was seeing. Now I've found that a lot of the places that I painted earlier on are gone. So it's kind of come to, at one point I started calling, I said I was cursed or I was jinxing every place I painted because a year later they'd be gone. So it started kind of becoming a documentation of Brooklyn and Brooklyn places I love that don't exist anymore. Of course, I'm talking about Brooklyn, and this is a Manhattan scene. Growing up, I grew up out on Long Island, and came in the city often. My dad grew up in the city, so I was in the city a lot. And obviously, being in Brooklyn was in the city a lot. And there's so many wonderful Manhattan places as well. So this particular piece was because I had in my head for a long time, but never had quite the right reference to paint it. But I wanted to do a painting that was kind of the feeling of being in the middle of the city. On ground level of the city kind of surrounding you and in the middle of the action. And one day I had my camera and was walking around doing a kind of photo safari, taking reference there were specific places that I was going to shoot for paintings where I had a preconceived idea. And then other than that, whatever caught my eye. And I happened to be walking across the street and I looked and I'm like, this is it. This is the image that I quickly managed to take some shots before being run over. And finally did this painting, which had kind of abstractly been in the back of my head for a long time. And as you say, I do get, sucked into details. I love, probably not the first thing people would look at here, but I love things like the hot dog, cart on the far left, where if you see the actual painting, which is about 30 by 48 inches, you can, see the price of the egg sandwiches and things. There are a couple figures hidden throughout here, a couple other little details. But I like one person described my paintings once as kind of being, instead of fully, telling some story, like some forceful story, it's more like a setting or a scene in a, maybe in a theater piece where like the action's about to happen. There are different stories that could take place within the setting. Sometimes I think of what I feel is happening, but it's also more of a scene. I less often do I have some very specific storytelling. They're more atmospheric, more kind of being in the location or putting the viewer in the location in whatever story they kind of imagine.
Do you know what street you were on?
This was Fifth Avenue, and I think it was around 23rd, somewhere around there. I could be wrong slightly. I'd have to look it up. But that neighborhood. Someone I saw in the comments asked if this was an oil painting. This is actually, I get that sometimes. I normally do underpaintings, and I post them on my website because people are sometimes interested in the process. I do underpaintings that are just gouache, and I do a 3-value. I do a wash of gouache and then erase away the highlights and paint in some shadows and have a 3-tone underpainting, and then I go in and add the color and acrylic on top. So this is gouache and all gouache and acrylic. The road, like and the underpainting can be done in different colors depending on what the painting, the subject matter of the painting is. And this one I did in a very charcoaly gray color, which is a lot of times parts of the underpainting show through. And here the street is almost all the underpainting, and then, you know, the color and the sky and all of that was painted in after. So that was kind of the story of this particular piece. But I don't only paint city. I'm an avid scuba diver, and sometimes I'll paint underwater scenes or other that. But living in the city and growing up in such an exciting environment, and there's so many, you know, infinite stories to tell. You know, I think I could go for a long time and not run out of being excited about different places in both Brooklyn and the city to paint.
Yeah, it's certainly colorful, and with the pandemic, it still isn't as crowded on Fifth Avenue as it is, as you
right.
sort of demonstrate.
Right, so that's true. Yeah,
it's too you know, even now it serves as a time of, you know, our old history of what things were before. But yeah, the details are amazing, down to the breeze in the flag. It's just spectacular. Thank you.
Thank you. And I love the you know, things that tie it to a time, like you can see the ads on the cabs or things like that. Some older pieces, just the styles of the garbage cans will show you, you know, what time period it is. I should mention, though, it's kind of funny that I mentioned that not being a storyteller specifically, but someone had seen a bunch of my Brooklyn paintings, and I didn't go looking for this work, but an author who grew up in Brooklyn thought I really enjoyed the way I depicted Brooklyn. And I ended up doing I think it was around 23 full-page illustrations for a picture book called The Sound of All Things, which is about a family's trip to Coney Island in like roughly the late 30s, when the author was a child. And so that it has a whole bunch of Brooklyn paintings, and it was really a challenging experience because I had never done probably more than 3 paintings in a series, and suddenly I was doing 23. Wow. But it's you know, that was an interesting, challenging project. Yes,
and I'm sure it was successful.
Thank you.
Did you put your contact information?
I did. I put Facebook and Instagram and my website.
Beautiful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Can I speak to Charles Schleberg, please?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you.
You're very, very welcome. So this piece came from a piece of oak that you found in Harriman State Park, which is just amazing.
Thank you.
And it's called Whispers, and I was wondering what its secret was.
Well, can I give you a little background information first?
Absolutely.
I just want to thank you for allowing me to participate in this. This is fantastic. About a year ago, when we started with this pandemic, I was sitting around the house and I said, well, what am I going to do with all my time? So I watched a few videos online on YouTube, and I said, I'm going to start to carve wood. So basically, I'm a hack. And I go in my backyard and I listen to Disturbed or other heavy music, and I grind with an angle grinder and a die grinder. And, you know, this was the result. So, you know, I've committed myself over the last couple of months to this work, and I'm really enjoying it. But I want to thank you for this opportunity.
You're very welcome. It's just wonderful, and really it's just breathtaking to know that you can take a piece of wood and get this sculptured piece from it.
Yeah, you know, the interesting thing for me is the transformation. I was hiking through Harriman State Park, and I saw a tree that had been blown down, and the wood looked really interesting to me. I've always been fascinated by wood with the grain and the anomalies in it. So I went home and I brought a handsaw back into the woods on a trail, and I cut off a section of the log and brought it home and began to work on this. So this was the result of, it's probably about 30 hours worth of work. But you were asking about the name Whisper, and you know, the message behind this. And honestly, I did not intend to have a message. You know, this was really a non-answer for you or doesn't answer your question. I mean, I've been married 32 years, so I'm getting pretty good at not giving specific answers. I think each person's experience is different when they view something like this, any piece of art, and you know, it's their perspective. So I've had people say to me, it looks like an ear, it looks like a pregnant woman, a unicorn, and then other people who I think appreciate art a little more are saying they love the flowing lines and the movement. But I don't think, you know, anyone is right or wrong. It's their own personal experience when you're viewing the piece, and it's that interaction between the viewer and what they're seeing, that piece of art. So there really isn't an answer to that question. I can tell you when I looked at it and I named it Whisper, I thought of this soft flowing lines. I think they're kind of subtle, not really angular, like a 90-degree angle. And in a sense, almost sensual, the way a whisper can be. So that's why I named it Whisper.
That's perfect. That and it is soft and it is flowing, and you can certainly whisper that. And I like your belief that people look at art and are going to see whatever they see, and that's what makes art varied, like all the people that are here tonight. And that's what makes it, you know, that's why we look at it and we admire it and appreciate it, is because everybody can see something in it. So you may not have answered my question, but you really did answer my question.
Okay. I hope it was helpful.
Thank you.
Okay.
Did you put your information in the chat?
Yes, I did. And I would just like to thank Erin at the Painted Moose Gallery, where my work is listed. And she took me on. I was just posting on Facebook a couple of pictures, and she runs an online virtual gallery, and she asked me, would you really be interested in doing this? So I said, sure, why not? And then I think within the first month, I sold a couple of pieces. So I started to take it a little bit more seriously. So.
Well, you've made the right choice. Your stuff is wonderful to look at, and I wish you all the best, and I look forward to seeing what comes next.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good night.
You're welcome. So now I'm going to give you the end, I'm sad, of the month and what we're going to have for you as part of the Arts Festival. On Sunday, April 25th at 7, we're going to have studio tours by John Gilbert, Alice Mizrahi, Dan Springer, and Lynn Stein. On the following Monday, the 26th, again at 7, we're going to have the Penguin Repertory Theater, which is going to discuss the history of the theater, and the Phoenix Theater Ensemble. They're going to be doing a play called The Domino Heart, which is the effect of one heart transplant on 3 people. And finally, unfortunately, on Thursday, April 29th at 7 p.m., we're going to have a discussion of literature and film with Joe Allen and Bill Batson. It's going to be hosted by Cheryl Bown, who is the executive director of ACOR.
Debbie.
Yes.
Are you saying unfortunately because it's the last event of the month, or?
No. Just because it's the last event of the month. No. I'm actually excited to hear what is discussed. But no, it's because
it's
coming to an end. Yes. But this evening is not yet at an end. So can I speak to Arlene Estraza, please?
Hi everybody.
Hi.
Well, I have to tell you that I am just enjoying looking at all the different artwork, and it's just amazing, the talent, and what a cool thing to learn a little bit about why it was made. It's just a great thing. I'm really enjoying this.
I'm glad.
And thank you so much for the opportunity to participate in the Arts Festival. And I'm speaking on behalf of my dad. My dad's name is George Strazza, and he gave me a little spiel of what to say. So he works mainly in acrylics, and he loves a challenge. He also loves to paint portraits, and he has been commissioned to paint many portraits of weddings, anniversaries, children, pets, believe it or not, and other subjects. And some are posted on his Facebook page, which I put in the chat. So you have that. And really, he can paint anything, and he's currently working on an English street scene. And he's pretty much been retired for many years, and he's a nonagenarian, which I'm not going to tell you what that means. You'll have to look it up. And he is always looking for something fun and challenging to paint. So he's always, you know, he would gladly paint whatever you might want.
So can you tell me the history of this piece? Because this was painted during the pandemic.
Yeah. So he usually gets inspiration from a photograph. So he must have seen this online somewhere. He can't remember exactly where he saw it. And he thought it would be a real challenge to see if he could capture that rainy feeling on the canvas. And that's why he did it.
And he did so well.
Yeah.
The shininess of the street and the fogginess of the trees is really quite spectacular. Yeah, and it looks like it's older because of the street light and that kind of thing. But yeah, and the horse and buggies.
Right.
So yeah. How
and
big?
The way the people are dressed too.
Yes. How big is the piece?
I think it's about 14 by 16, but I'm not 100% sure.
And do you know what medium he used?
Yes, it's acrylic.
Acrylic, okay. It is quite spectacular.
Yeah. He also likes to imitate different French painters, like a Renoir or a Monet. He you know, like he'll fool around and try and make his own version of it or something. So, you know, it's pretty cool.
I can sort of see the Monet trees in the back. That does work.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very cool.
He's also illustrated a children's book called Miss Divine's Magic Book. He did that. That was pretty cool.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
Do you follow in his footsteps?
No. Well, I'm creative in other ways, but not painting.
Okay. That's really good.
Well, thank you so much.
You're very, very welcome. It's good to talk to you. And all your stuff is in the chat, I'm assuming.
Yes, yes.
Beautiful. Okay. And last but, well, actually not last but not least, can I speak to Scott Whitman, please?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yes. So it looks like your photograph star trail from your Facebook page, from your the website, that it took lots of leaps to get into the stars. So I was wondering what inspired you to leap into the stars?
Right on. So great question. Thank you, Debbie Silverberg, artist.
You're welcome.
And thank you to Lisa D'Amico as well, and everyone with Rockland. I'm really excited for this whole month-long of events, and I just want to thank everyone for allowing us all to see the arts during this pandemic time, because it's really been suffocating. But to talk about Star Trail, I'm gonna put up some links in a moment, but I'm really glad that Lisa has cleverly put up the artwork so people can refer to it. It actually, to answer your question, did take just one jump. It had to, because the way that this was photographed, I could only have Eva, the dancer, on my sensor right at the end for the shutter closed. So we did go out 24 hours prior and rehearse quite a bit. But fortunately for me, she's a professional dancer. This is up in Vermont, where there's zero light pollution. And fortunately, she was a professional dancer in the area, but she also was a professional visual artist. She actually worked in Jeff Koons Guild. And so when I explained to her the idea of this photograph, she said, that means I'm gonna have to go out during first light and nail it. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what it means. And I couldn't be happier. Actually, in hindsight, because I've been given this question a lot, in hindsight, I really like how the one piece of tall grass is just bending and connecting to her shin. So, you know, everything, she went out there, she was a trooper. It wasn't this bright, it was really, really dark. So we had to communicate by shouting, even though we were just a dozen feet away. And we pulled it off. Now, as far as inspiration goes, this comes from a greater body of work where I'm dealing with natural talent amidst natural landscapes. And I can't go too deep into it here, of course, but I gave a TEDx talk about how I was paralyzed for a short bit. And after that, I got a grant to study with bio-nano engineers and prosthetics designers. And it was like the higher I went up in that ivory tower, the more I wanted to pull a 180 and just work with bodies that have been trained and honed and were not under the knife at all. And I wanted to pair them with landscapes that have not been touched by man. And so Under the Heavens here is a great example. So here are the links. There's some behind the scenes work in some of those links on my Instagram and some other places. But there you go.
It's wonderful. Your explanation is truly seen. It's just wonderful. I've been in Vermont and there is no air pollution, there is no light pollution, and
zero.
just to be able to, see the lights up there is amazing. Yeah. Did you change the background with the blacker trees, or was that did it look like this?
No, I mean, you're seeing a straight photo. So those black trees are in the background.
Got it.
And what's in the foreground, the reason it's lit is because I've got two lights sort of just out of frame lighting up Eva. We're seeing a sort of spill of light on the foreground foliage.
I'm speechless. It is really spectacular. And
I appreciate it. It took a lot of orchestration. And she's amazing. This is the great part about working with dancers on this level, is they demand so much of themselves. So she's in two other works of mine. I thought we were done. She said, let me look at the back of your camera, because she's a visual artist too. She said, no, we're not done. We're not done. My toes are not perfect. So I said, all right, we can keep shooting. So, but not for this one. This was a one take.
This is a one take. That's wonderful. That is spectacular. I look forward to checking out other of your pieces. I thank you very much. Lisa, I have people who I don't know if they came back in or are here, part of the original list. Is Harriet Foreman Barrett here? Going with a no. Okay. Erica Sobel and Carla Hicks. Okay. So I want to thank everybody for tonight and coming here. And I want to, are there any more chat questions? That was where I was going first. Any chat questions that weren't answered, Lisa?
Not that I saw, but if anybody wants to unmute themselves and ask a question, please do. I actually have one question, if she's still here, if Angelica is still here. Angelica, the drawing, the charcoal drawing you did, that's actually behind you.
Yeah.
How long did it take to execute?
Since I did have to do it for my class final project, I'd say like half of the semester, so maybe 1 to 3 months, just about, working in school.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Right. So I want to thank everybody for took the time to answer my questions, and I want thank everyone for coming, and Lisa D'Amico for doing a brilliant job of spearheading this project, Anna Viva and Michael. And now I'm looking forward to enjoying the piano performance from Carolyn Enger.
I want to thank everyone as well. It's a whole month of art, and all the arts, visual arts, musicians, storytellers, indie movies, gallery tours. I hope you will join us in our other events. Debbie, thank you so much. You did a wonderful job. I really appreciate you being host, coming through. So again, Thank you, everyone. Keep checking your emails. We'll send you updates about what's going on and what requests we may have from the visual artists about other events and other opportunities. If you want to send us a video speaking about your work, we will post it on all of our social media platforms. And again, thank you from the bottom of our heart.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.